I think it's a sport and we're all participating in it, that enjoyment is at the core, no matter how good you are. If you don't like it, it's probably not the right thing to do, because if you do like it and you want to be good at it, you have to do a ton of it.
Right.
And so if you don't love it, maybe pick something like darts where you can go do it for a half an hour.
Yes.
I don't know, at Applebee's after work or something, but.
All right, Mark Deering here with another adventure video. We're going to talk with the Coyotes, and if those of you who know that are probably watching this video, the Coyotes is a mountain bike team from West Michigan mostly, and they are amazing, blazing fast. We've got Brian Miller with us today and Andy Richardson, and let's start with talking a little bit with Brian. Brian, you are the founder,
Co-founder, yep, one of several.
Okay. So tell us how it all started. Tell us where it all began.
Sure. It was had to be 6 or 7 years ago. A couple parents from Spring Lake and East Grand Rapids were sitting around thinking that they needed a better way for their kids to be involved in mountain biking. There was good road opportunities at the time through the Andre Junior Development Team for roadies, and their kids wanted to do mountain biking. And they also knew that my daughter Anabel was riding around and ripping on trails. And so they came up to us and like, hey, we're starting this mountain bike team. We need more kids from the GR area, and we could have Anabel join. We'd have a girl. And I'm like, that sounds good. She needs somebody to ride with. She was like in 6th grade when they started talking about it.
Sure.
And so we went from there. So that was 6 or 7 years ago. We've grown from that initial year when we maybe had 12, 15 kids to about 150 for the last 2 years. So it's been good growth. And we went from a club that thought maybe we should try a race to the 4-time defending high school state champions in the MiSCA series, which is the statewide high school mountain bike racing series, which is really cool every fall. And I don't know, it's grown nonstop since we started. So it's been very exciting to watch kids go through. We just graduated our second crop of kids will finish this year. So we have one set of kids in college and then some high school seniors, and those will be the first ones that have gone through the program the whole way.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's actually maybe jump right into that, but I will speak in a little bit where we've from the sidelines have seen this thing grow. Like, when I met you in the parking lot, you and I have been talking on Facebook. I'm like, we gotta get together, because this, and I referred you guys. One of our new bike members has a kid moving in from out of state. He's got some speed. He's competitive. He's going to want to be pushed. He's going to want to be whatever, which I know that's not what your whole, thing is about. So we'll talk about all of that. But if you do have an elite athlete youngster, you guys seem to be the crowd to go with.
Yeah.
Hey folks, Mark Deering here from the Adventure Channel. Just wanted to formally introduce myself in case you haven't seen me without the helmet on and the full kit. Amy and I, my wife, are adventurers. We are loving what we're doing and meeting the community and doing all kinds of fun things. My day job, my real job is real estate. So I just wanted to let you guys know that if you have any real estate questions, if you're looking to move near the trails, if you're looking to move out of state, any of those types of things, we help hundreds of different mountain biking and adventure families find their base camp to live at. So we want to do the same with you. We couldn't do this without you guys, and we love working with folks that have the same passion as us.
Yeah, we're the definitely the de facto mountain bike team in town, and
sure,
plenty of kids that are incredibly fast.
Sure. No, so that's been awesome. So 6 years. So tell us a little bit about what does your weekly. So how do kids get involved? Is it easy to get involved and then they just show up, or is there a waiting list, or how does all that work?
Sure. We so previously what we've done is kind of open the signups in the spring and practices, and I'll put that in quotes because it's as much as you want to make it, but practices have been June through the end of October when the race season ends, and then kind of our fastest kids also all go to Iceman, and that's kind of everyone's cap on the season, yours, ours, and,
sure,
and the kids too. So that's kind of how it's worked in the past. We have tinkered with it a little bit, during COVID, when I think everybody bought a bike and discovered the outdoors.
Right.
Suddenly we had this explosive growth, and we didn't know how to handle it. So
all those bikes are going to be for sale pretty soon.
Right. So for like 1 year, we oversold and had to have a wait list and all that, but we got that all figured out. I don't know what your thinking is moving forward, but we should be all right, I bet.
By the way, so before you jump in, Andy is taking over the role. So there's a little bit of a torch passing here, or baton passing here. So Andy has a kindergartner.
Yep.
And so you have a senior going into college, which we're going to talk about. But it's kind of perfect. 6 years, got the kid all the way up to be a senior, going to college on a scholarship, a cycling scholarship.
Yep.
And now we have a kindergartner, so we're going to be interested to see what happens there.
Yep.
12 more years.
Long way to go, yeah.
So tell us how you got involved.
Sure, yeah. So I started, I think, riding with the Coast Riders. So the parent club of the Coyotes, the West Michigan Coast Riders.
Did not know this. Okay.
Yeah, and actually, so when I moved up here to Spring Lake from Holland in 2018, I think, something like that, I started riding with them in the gravel ride. And, some kids would occasionally show up. And then at some point, there was kind of just a call for coaches. It was like, hey, we need more coaches because, basically the more coaches we have, the more kids we can take, right? Mm-hmm. We try to keep a certain ratio of coach to kid. Mm-hmm. And this was probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I was like, that sounds awesome. So I went and checked it out. My kid was 2 at the time or whatever.
Sure.
So it was, a long way to go. So I was
looking ahead. You were looking ahead.
Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah. It was part that, and part also it was just really fun. You show up and you ride.
Sure.
Sure, there's some responsibility, but for someone that's just showing up to help, to be a coach, you're just riding. And it's super fun.
Let's talk while we're on that topic. I'm sure obviously it's mostly parents that coach, and get involved. And I have helped out with the Dirt Dogs and sponsored over there and coached. And we did that for a couple of years. And then our plate just got super full. So we had to pull back a little bit. We can only do so much, right? But super rewarding, super fun. Like you say, it's so cool. I can speak from just a little experience that, to see these kids. I saw them up at Iceman, a couple of them, and they're future stars, so it is such a cool thing. And like you say, the coaches, if there's parents listening that want to get involved with the Coyotes and then potentially even coach, is it a little bit of a process or?
I guess so. The first thing would be to go onto our website, right?
Okay.
So the coyotesmtb.org has a lot of the background information. The way that we do our coaching is it's affiliated with MiSCA, which is the Interscholastic Cycling League. It's also the source of club insurance, liability protections, all that stuff. And so they certify the coaches. So you've got to get first aid, CPR, and there's a MiSCA concussion training, and then there's a background check, to make sure we're not sending your kids in the woods with people they shouldn't be in the woods with. And then there's some coach basic skills training, cornering, body positioning, bike safety, those types of things. So that MiSCA will walk you through all of that, and our website basically links over to MiSCA to take care of that.
I forgot that we did some of that, and that's actually really good for the parents to know. It's not like they're just dropping off to some babysitters,
right?
Oh yeah, go have fun. You know the CPR, the different things, concussion stuff, and basic skills. Basic skills are huge too. And I'm sure, and I can say that. I think, and you guys, if there's a specific thing that you guys do for this, etiquette for the kids. And I think that these kids that learn the etiquette, learn trail etiquette, learn manners, there's so much to learn on the trail about life. Mm-hmm. Is there some specific stuff that you guys pour into them, or does it naturally happen?
We don't have a specific curriculum for it, but it's a part of everything. So I have a kindergarten, so I ride with my kid a lot, especially this year, just because temperamentally there tends to be some, issues there more than the riding. But so at that age, with the younger kids especially, we talk about it a lot. Before we go out on the trail, while we're on the trail, what's happening. Occasionally there's some bad etiquette, either from other trail users or from us as well, or dealing with kids. And we talk about it. That's basically how we work it.
Sure.
Talk about it before we go out on the trails. Sometimes we'll have some specific things, especially just depending on what's going on, or if the trail looks busy, then we'll talk about that, to begin with, might be a lot of passing today, that sort of thing. Just deal with it.
Or getting past, right?
Well,
it's a really interesting, I think as they get older and faster, you switch from teaching them about how to be polite and not hog the trail when somebody's way faster than them. And you kind of have to pivot when they become 12-year-olds and be like, hey, when you start passing all those old men, and how do you do it nicely? Hey, me too, trust me. How do you do it nicely and respectfully? And that has to carry into races. I think about, racing big events, Barry, Iceman, peak to peak, and these kids they're way faster than most of the adults. They need to know how to do it politely and respectfully and safely. So we do try to teach all of that. And it's, nothing's perfect, but I do think we have a pretty good record with our kids out there.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. You guys have a great reputation out there, and, we're all biased, but the cycling community in general, right? Like, I mean, it's like, there's always one bad seed, out there, but in general, the parents who are growing, raising kids that have the same manners and the same this, and then we, out there when we see the kids, or actually a couple of your kids were on one of my dragon rides, and we had like 30 some people, and they were up front with me.
Oh, that's cool.
And I forget their names. I wish I knew.
Hayden Frere, I think, was with you in one of those. I think I saw pictures. So he's one of our up and coming stars. That's cool. He
took off, up the hilly section at the Dragon, and I even say on video like, "See you later. I'm done chasing you."
Sounds about right.
Yeah. But super polite. Like those two that I had interactions with, just class acts, So, and that's says something that you guys are, raising. And so let's talk about. So there's I don't want people to be intimidated by thinking that you're raising college athletes and that's all you're going after. That's probably one out of.
It's about 4 out of 160.
Okay, that's a good ratio.
If you want to be really precise, that's about right.
So 4 out of that many. The rest of them are just falling in with something that they're going to carry in with the rest of their life. Mountain biking is pretty much a lifelong sport if you let it be, and keeps you healthy, keeps you out there. So talk a little bit about the different levels that you have.
Sure. Yeah, it's the whole range. Just from skill levels, and also just how kids want to ride. We've got kids that aren't super interested in racing, pretty interested in hitting jumps. So it's like we do have it is a task to accommodate all of that, and to have coaches to cover all that. We can't do all of it all the time, so it's kind of we just try to incorporate it all, and that's something that we'll continue to work on moving forward. Is like a lot of the times the kids that aren't super into hitting jumps and doing technical stuff could use some work on it, right? So like, especially when we race at a place like Merrill, there's some technical bits, especially the varsity kids run through Sawtooth, like at race pace, like that.
Wow.
Like 3 laps?
3 laps of it, yeah.
Like anybody have the camera up top there when they're shooting down?
I always sit out there. It's the best place to watch.
So like, and there are kids that are younger that do want to be at that level at some point. So now is the time when you start working on the technical skills. But on top of that, are also kids that just want to be out there with friends, maybe like not even on bikes,
Sure.
I mean, they are on, but the whole reason they're out there is just to be with friends.
Be with friends.
So, and that is 100%. We're here for that,
Sure.
The coolest thing, the reason that I continue to get so involved in this is because there is all of that. And all of those kids are together, so it's not like you get there and it's super cliquey,
right.
Like maybe groups go off,
sure,
standard cycling stuff, but like everyone is a team, especially on race day. And you got kids that show up to races that are there to race, but not super serious about it.
Yep.
They're there to hang out with friends. Their tents have tons of food. Like,
right.
It's like,
you guys, by the way, put on a spread. Like when you guys show up, you guys have the tents and the food, and the parents are all.
Oh yeah,
you guys look. Yeah, you guys look
grilling.
Couldn't do without parents.
It's incredible.
The parents that show up on race days as well. It's just.
I'm about to tell my team right now live. I'm joining you guys. Can I ride with the kids?
We're always at Iceman with a decent spread there too. So that's kind of the intersection between adults and kids.
That's.
To pivot off what you said is that I think it's super important to have all those groups together, because each individual group or each type of rider really benefits from the other type. So I was thinking about, like, we do have elite riders, and it's really good for them once in a while to have to go slow and play with their friends and play foot down in the parking lot instead of just ripping hot laps at 20 miles an hour. So, and the kids who aren't even sure yet what they want to do benefit a ton from just being exposed to those elite kids. Thinking back to my own daughter's, career with MiSCA and with the Coyotes, she didn't really know what she wanted to do. We just told her she had to do a sport, and she did cross-country running and hated it. And I was like, well, you like riding your bike and you've been on a swim team. You can pick from those two. And so she didn't really know what she wanted to do, or even that she could do it. But you get with friends and they hang out together in the woods and they're riding their bikes and suddenly they're getting fast. So then they're doing that and hey, that's fun and they're having some success. It kind of grows organically for the kids that it's meant to grow for, and everyone else, they're still having fun in the woods with their friends, which it's hard to beat that.
As you're saying that too, I'm thinking it's a unique sport where, you have in high school, you have the freshmen. The freshmen usually don't play with the JV. That JV doesn't usually play with the varsity. They're all in their own little bubbles, so to say. And but with cycling, future college varsity is hanging out with the seventh graders, in the parking lot. And there's that looking up to thing on a every parking lot basis, and your daughter probably realizes eyes are on her, so she has to, David Brower, Mike Brower, his dad's on our team, David Brower, I forget sometimes that he's 18 because I like to razz him pretty good. But same thing, like and him and I, he's at college and I message back and forth to him and I tell him, hey, you got a lot of eyes on you. A lot of eyes on you. And so, not saying be careful with that, but it's just it's amazing, first of all, but do be careful with that. You have a lot of younger generation looking at you, how you're going to handle yourself in the race, on the trail, off the trail. And as we said earlier, that filters over to life, the fact that they might be able to race and make money. Hey, awesome. But there's a chance that it's just going to take all of those things that they learned and put it into who knows, some type of bike foundation or company or whatever. So let's see. I had something else when you were talking, and then I lost my train of thought on that one. But you said race at Merrill and all that, and I get jealous of that. So you guys get to race at all of the sweet courses. So we do. Tell us a little about that.
So actually this year was the first year that I attended all of the races. So there are six, with 3 on the east side, 1 kind of in the middle, and then 2 on the west side, really. They're fun courses. The east side courses are pretty different than the ones around here. It was interesting to see. They're kind of a little more Bass River-y, since we're here. Kind of flat, twisty, maybe a little more wide open than Bass River. But we missed Cannonsburg. Cannonsburg was on the slate for a couple of years there.
Hopefully it comes back. Yeah, that was always my favorite venue.
And it's great for us as a home venue too, because we ride it a lot, and that's one of so this is a statewide race organization. So if we think about the advantages that we have over the flatter side of the state over there,
you bring somebody from Detroit over to that.
Our kids do hill repeats on the ski hill. So.
Yes, that is a separate.
Last time at the end of the lap, they sent them straight up the hill.
Wow, for the finish every time.
Yeah,
it was sweet. That's so exciting.
So it's the course
wide
really
open.
cool.
You can watch it. It's fun. It's good stuff.
No, that's cool. Like every once in a while. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 or 12 years now, so I know where all the races are. But early on, I'm like, oh, there's a race at Merrill, or whatever that was. I'm like, oh, it's for kids.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a tough spot to really race too, because they shut it down.
Sure.
You have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they are so dialed with how they send the kids off and generally keep passing, in different classes.
Sure.
To a minimal. To a minimum, they're very good at it.
Okay.
But you need that to race at a place like that because it's so compact and it's
absolutely
for what it is. But they do a really great job.
Their level of the MiSCA, the group that puts on those races, maybe Iceman and Barry are the only other races I go to that I feel like are that perfectly done.
Wow.
Everything's dialed, nothing goes wrong.
Okay.
It's incredibly professional. And you got little kindergartners doing 1 mile, but they've got the whole course taped, nobody gets lost, and it's pretty cool.
Is that, this is going to be a naive question because I don't have any kids in it, but is that a Michigan thing or a national thing?
Michigan.
Okay.
Yep. So there is NICA, which is
that's the one
NICA is a kind of a conglomeration of state leagues.
Okay.
Overseen by a national body. Several states, Michigan, Colorado, Georgia, I think Washington, aren't part of NICA and are doing our own thing for a number of reasons. For Michigan, it's because NICA doesn't allow for elementary school at the same race, and that's kind of a core component of MiSCA, and so MiSCA never joined NICA. But Colorado's not doing it either, and so Michigan, Colorado, and Georgia and Washington kind of have a little consortium to make sure they're doing the right things and figure out the best practices and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Okay. Do you guys do like trail maintenance days with the kids? Do you guys do any like community outreach stuff, things like that?
We did. So we've done a few trail maintenance days. Okay. We probably need to do more, but we're letting Andy figure that out. But we've done a few, and it's been really successful. So typically they're aligned with a race we're going to host, right? So a couple years ago when Canonsburg was the final race of the series, and we needed to really clean up at least 5% of the sand out there and get it all niced up, we did a whole Saturday out there, and I think we had like 40 families show up. And
nice.
In conjunction, obviously, with WMBA, and they were maintaining the trails around here and stuff. So, or MEMBA if we're on this side of the state, or this side of the region, I guess. So it's a really good partnership with the mountain bike alliances that are doing the actual work, and then we just show up to help.
Sure. I just thought of this sporadically. So you've got there's other good clubs out there too. So you've got the Dirt Dogs, you've got Velo Kids, have you guys ever like said, hey, let's do like all meet at one place for one time a year, or too many kids in one spot?
We've inadvertently done that at Canonsburg this past year.
Yep,
we did.
Several times.
We got in with some Dirt Dogs days, and I felt a little bad because so when we do Canonsburg, so how this has been happening for the past couple of years since the elementary team has been around is we split them to try and avoid taking over trails.
Sure.
But with a place like Canonsburg, we can get everyone together. We park up in that big lot far away.
Right.
Well, so there's 80 of us, and then whatever. As far as I can tell, like 3,000 Dirt Dogs.
Sure.
And I just didn't plan it right.
All at the same time.
You get out there, it's like, it's a little while. But I mean, it's fun though. Like
Yeah.
And I feel like each of those groups is doing something a little different. We're a club. The race series is not the only thing we are, but it's certainly like kind of central to who we've always been. Dirt Dogs is a summer program more. Velo Kids has their own events and stuff, and some of our kids, like I'm thinking some of our elementary kids, are doing Velo Kids events or Dirt Dogs and Coyotes.
Okay.
And it's all copacetic, and really, I think each of those groups makes each other stronger. So it's awesome how much we have going on around.
It might be good for folks to hear that are watching this, because it might be parents, trying to decide what and where and all this. So yeah, if that's a good takeaway from the differences, I mean there's a substantial amount of difference, or no such thing as hey, this one's better than the other.
No,
they all have their own little.
Yeah, I'll give a quick shout out to the Velo summer camps too. So they do like week-long summer camp type deals. That is not something that obviously we do. That's super cool.
Cool.
So for kids that are looking to do something in the summer a little more during the day, that sort of thing.
Because you typically a couple times a week in the evening when all the parent coaches get out of work, so it's a very different.
Yeah, we'll have some kids show up from the summer bike camp. They'll do bike camp during the day and then scoot on over for Coyotes practice at night.
Okay.
So
gotta get them tired out.
It's pretty dedicated.
Yeah.
There's no sort of like, when you're a Coyote, you don't do these other programs.
Sure, it's not. You just
nothing like that. Yeah.
You just remind me of Cobra Kai. There's no Cobra Kai.
Oh, right. No, this is not Karate Kid.
Oh, Jason's gonna laugh at that. Anyways, that's a hilarious story. But so I'm still thinking of that, so I'm laughing about that. So let's talk about your daughter.
Okay.
So let's spotlight her a little bit. Talk about you can be a proud dad. Tell us.
I am, although it's sometimes hard to. So what do you want to know?
I want to know how. To get to how did she work? Obviously, very natural talent, worked hard, both.
I think everyone's a mix of both. She took to it quickly because she took to it quickly because she started on a fat bike, and what she really loved for most of her biking career was to be out in the daughter. Oh, Anabel is my daughter's name. So Anabel really loved riding in the snow in the dark. Right, so we live in EGR, so we'd go to Indian Trails and go underground at whatever, it's dark at 5:30, right? We'd go right before dinner, right after dinner, fat bikes in the snow, and you fall all the time. It doesn't hurt. So you can really experiment with bike handling, and you can't really, as you know full well, hard to stay up. So you quickly learn to handle your bike very well and to fall gracefully and get back at it. So I think that helped her get started. She got into MiSCA, like I mentioned earlier, because we told her she had to do something. Like you can't just come home after school and sit. So it was cross country, which she didn't like, swimming, which she thought was fine, but biking, which she liked more. And this Coyotes opportunity came along right at the exact time that it needed to for her to take advantage of that. I remember distinctly, like her freshman year of high school, she was, contending for victories at MiSCA races. She won a bunch as an 8th grader, but it gets a whole lot harder when you get to the varsity class. And we were riding twice a week at Luton, then do a lap of Luton, and then go to a race on Saturday and get just shelled.
Okay.
And so we talked to a coach, Eric Forster, who's out of Rockford, been in the mountain bike scene here forever. And he's like, yeah, you actually need some structured training if you want to be good at this. And that was, I come out of swimming where a race is 50 seconds long. And so for an hour or an hour and a half race, I just really had no experience or understanding. So he started working with her and putting structured training in place, really slow build over a few years so that, this year she's riding 6 days a week and 10 hours a week. But as a 7th grader, she was still only riding 3 days a week and an hour each time out and stuff. So really, really slow build to not burn anything out.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
What was some of the tricks to avoid burnout? And let's be real, I'm sure there had to be some I don't want to go today, or, this is dumb, or,
Sure. Every parent goes through how you motivate your child to participate in a sport and keep them motivated. I think for Anabel, it is different than it might be for another kid or whatever. I've got 2 daughters and they're motivated by totally different reasons. For her, it ended up being a very social thing. So even when she didn't feel like riding, Coyotes was a place where her best friends were, and they were all going to be there. So you could stay home, but your best friends are all going to be at the bike trail. And that makes it so easy. We didn't really ever have to push her to do this. I'm not sure I would, honestly. I think it's a sport and we're all participating in it, that enjoyment is at the core, no matter how good you are. If you don't like it, it's probably not the right thing to do, because if you do like it and you want to be good at it, you have to do a ton of it.
Right.
So if you don't love it, maybe pick something like darts where you can go do it for a half an hour.
Yes.
I don't know, at Applebee's after work or something. But so it's been a lot of hours. It's been a lot of hours and a lot of fun, and it's really great to see her continue.
I don't think Applebee's has darts. I'm just saying.
I don't know. And you know what I was going to say? I like playing darts in people's basements, but if you're going to do it as a sport, you got to go to a pub.
That's true.
I think I drove by an Applebee's on the way out here. So.
You might say brewery. I don't know.
Right. There you go. I'm sure Trail Point's got to have
yes,
darts, right?
They do actually. They do. So amazing. She got offered a scholarship. How does that work in cycling? Is it different than the regular high school sports, let's say?
Yep. Yeah. So interestingly, it doesn't have to be different than regular high school sports. So some of the teams that we race against in MiSCA are varsity school teams. Notably, I think Brighton High School has won every year that there's even been 9 or 10 years in a row. They've won the high school scholastic side, where we are the 4-time defending state champs on the non-school, right? So there's composite teams of club teams and there's school teams. So,
I gotcha.
So there are school teams in Metro Detroit. We race at the same time in the same place, same kids, which is really cool. But over here, there are no school teams.
Okay.
When you get to college, it's very similar. There are schools that have clubs, and then there are schools that have scholarship varsity programs, and USA Cycling kind of oversees that whole infrastructure. So I think it's probably more like rugby. If you play that in college, there's no to the best of my knowledge, there's not an NCAA rugby. It's its own thing.
Okay.
Cycling is like that, right?
Okay.
So USA Cycling manages collegiate cycling. There are schools across the country that have clubs. I think Grand Valley even has a club. Maybe. Yeah.
I think it's in the works.
In the works. All right. They're about to have a club.
Okay.
And then there are schools with varsity teams that are, that have full-time coaches that pay for your travel and for your registrations and for your races and all that kind of stuff.
So I guess this is kind of a dumb question, but I guess I didn't realize somebody can go to Michigan State, but they can still race at a college level for mountain bikes.
Definitely. Michigan has a club. I think Bryce might be on the club there. Pretty sure. So we had a racer, Bryce Natter, graduate last year. And he goes to Michigan, and I'm pretty sure that there's a club that he's either raced on a couple times or checked out. So there are club teams at a lot of the big schools.
Maybe not scholarships, the micro or the universities that kind of focus on cycling has the scholarships and things like that, which draw. So that makes sense. I really never,
and there's, certainly there's been kids from the Grand Rapids area who have gone to do collegiate scholarship cycling for the last few years. Maddie Frank is from this side of town, David Brower, Luke Zolke from the Coyotes. I mean, this Addison Forrester from the Coyotes, they're all in college already doing this. So it's pretty cool. And it's a neat opportunity for the kids to keep doing it when they get to school.
Yeah, doing what they love, and like we were saying earlier. So, okay. So the winter, you guys kind of Coyotes takes the winters off a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, in terms of super organized stuff, we're not running practices anymore. Like Brian was saying, our sort of practice time gets not. It's tough to practice when it's pitch black.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of kids.
Yes.
Although we do do a handful of night rides, like at the end of the season, when it starts to get a little darker, or you can just pop some lights on for, a half hour at the end of the ride at Cannonsburg or something. But yeah, for the most part. But yeah, that doesn't stop us from riding in our Coyotes gear. Throughout the winter. So we'll be at least the two of us and Anabel, and I'm sure some others will be at races.
I'm sure the cyclists, that's a good question. What would you say at the kids level, how many hang it up for the winter? Like we have some on our adult team that there's a portion that hang it up for the winter. Kids wise, what would you say the ratio is for hanging it up?
Most of them are hanging it up for the winter and doing another sport, I would guess. So I'm thinking of, one of our up and coming varsity riders, he's a junior, his name's Garrett. He'll be a senior next year. He's on the swim team right now, so he's not riding, but they're not sitting around playing. What do the kids play now? Not
darts.
Nintendo. No. They're not playing darts, I'll tell you that much. No, they're not sitting around playing PlayStation 20 hours a week, right? They're doing something.
Right.
And we do have other kids who are on a structured training plan that probably starts up again after Christmas and start getting ready. So if you if you really want to be good at it, you do have to do it or something most of the year.
Yeah, base miles and keep it somewhat fresh. And
we've done some Zwift racing a little bit too as Coyotes.
With the Coyotes?
Yeah, we'll probably do that again. Just putting out avenues for kids to ride. I think is really our winter plan. We'll put it out there and say there will be some support as Coyotes if you want to come. Like at these races, like most of the short series, both of us are going to be there. So if kids want to show up and they're looking for any sort of support or whatever as coaches, we're happy to do it.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
So, but yeah, in terms of structured events like practices and stuff, we kind of cut it off at the end of race season. Also, it's a lot. 2 days a week.
When you guys were saying 2 days a week, I forgot that you do 2 days a week.
Yeah.
It's not. I think Dirt Dogs was 2 days a week, but it was different kids, so they had space. So you 2 days a week, same kids.
Yeah.
From June to October. We don't want to burn out our parents either,
right?
So you want them to be excited to keep doing it because that's what makes it happen. So.
Sure. Whatever you just said sparked this thought and question. Is there cost, fees? Like what is some of that? If someone's interested, what are they looking into? Or are they looking at?
So it's like Brian said, we're affiliated with MiSCA. They provide us a bunch of things. So I think it's so there's kind of two fees.
$60 a year from MiSCA
if you're not new. So if it's your first year,
then it's free.
You get free reg from MiSCA, which is awesome for the year. And then I think did we do
last year? We did. So obviously we reinvestigate this every year, right?
Sure.
But last year we split this season into 2 sessions to try and help with the kids who maybe had a fall sport but still wanted to join Coyotes.
Okay.
Because we didn't want them to feel like they had to register on April 1st and occupy some spot in October if they were just going to do it June, July, August, or whatever.
Sure.
So MiSCA was $60 for 12 months, and that gives you your insurance. You're allowed to do the races. You're a member of the league. And then club membership was $50 a session, so it could be $100 for the year, or if you're only doing one session, it's $50. And out of that, we were taking some of that money and sending it to the West Michigan Coast Riders, which gives you USA Cycling affiliation as a team. You still got to have a racing membership, but those are free for juniors. So really, I don't know, having a daughter who swims, this is the cheapest youth sport that I've ever come across in my entire life. It's so cheap.
For
it's total price, $160 for the year.
Yeah,
but then race fees.
And the bike.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
so there's we recognize that there are other costs.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, every kid's garage looks just like this.
I'm sure that
It's not a cheap activity. The sport part is cheap, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not a cheap sport. So, and that, that just brings up a topic that sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, I can't believe this race is so much or that race is so much." In my mind, I'm like, we get to ride these trails year round for free. We do trail work, we donate where we can, and a lot of people don't do that, and they ride these trails for free. Like, look at what we have that we get to ride for free. Yes, the gear and the bike is what you want to do. You could go on an entry level bike and have just as much fun, but it is a unique sport, and yeah, that's good to hear that it's really inexpensive to get involved.
And a lot of that is because it's 100% volunteers.
Sure.
You don't pay anybody, because as soon as you have to start paying coaches,
you said you're
getting
yeah.
No, it's pretty cool. I mean, all volunteer means the money that you put into the team is to pay for stuff that we need. So we've got a trailer and we got tents and we got bike racks and tools and parts, and all that stuff is covered by that and a bunch of generous sponsors. So
I was just going to say, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a sponsorship, not a sponsorship, but a kid getting a free scholarship. Do you guys have scholarship opportunities? Is that something you guys do or thought of?
For kids that can't afford it, I'm sure that we would find a way to get somebody involved who can't afford it. And typically the barrier is the bike, not the team.
Right.
And so we've had some donated bikes in the past that we've set up and have been ready for whoever might need it. We've had some kids, I can think of at least a couple who have shown up with bikes and you're like, we're not taking that.
Right. It's not even safe to take on.
It's not safe. Why don't you take this bike out of the trailer and ride that instead? And then at least once or twice, we've had a couple parents. I'll give a shout out to John Frere, who has done this. Take that bike home that was terrible, fix it up, put it back together, and bring it back for the kid at the next practice. And now you have a bike that works. So
sure.
It's, you want kids to be able to participate. And it is a cost prohibitive sport to get the equipment for. So
Absolutely.
That's been a big challenge. But yeah, we're not getting rich off your $50 membership fee.
No.
And if that's the difference between participating and not, I'm sure that there's a way to work that out.
Exactly.
Great sponsorships from bike shops as well.
Yeah.
So pretty much all of our bike shops offer some sort of discount on maintenance and stuff like that as well.
Nice.
Which is really cool.
And a ton of swag for the kids at the end of the season and stuff like that. That all comes from pretty much any bike shop you can think of in this area. They've participated materially.
Who's the fashion designer on your team? You guys are pretty fashionable. Who's the one that's designing all this?
That is Rich Budden designed that one.
Before my time.
Yeah.
I got one from the Overflow. There was like a couple left, and I snagged them.
I love that. I got one.
Yeah, this one's pretty highly sought after.
Oh yeah,
it's legendary.
That one right there. Who came up with the logo? And I think I just heard this camera might have shut off, but keep talking.
Sure. So I'm pretty sure Rich Borns, who's one of the officers of the Coast Riders, had did his son do it? I don't even know how that got done. Somebody involved with the Coast Riders did it for us.
So it's very, like, at least the type of it matches the Coast Riders.
Now that you say that, I totally see it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know the Coast. I mean, as long as I've known about the Coast Riders, they have that same logo. So
and I think one of them dads that they initiate, like when you were first getting started, just asked his kid, "What should we name this team?"
Okay.
Coyotes or Bears? And he's like, "Well, there's a football team in Chicago. We'll go with Coyotes." And so I think that's where it came from.
No, that is cool. It's a cool story too. Well, anything in close that you can think of that would be helpful to people who are considering getting their kids involved? I mean, if they've watched this long, they're already involved.
Yeah.
Or if they're thinking about it, you'd be the perfect parent to ask, like, getting your kid involved in something like this, what it's doing for the future.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is just to try it out, because I think you would find that no matter what level of rider your kid is, if they enjoy riding their bike, they're going to enjoy it more in the woods than they do on the driveway, and they're going to enjoy it more with a bunch of friends their age who also enjoy it than they ever would with you. I mean, sure. I like riding with my kids, but they like riding with their friends more.
Right.
And that's pretty cool. That's what you want for them. So it's really just a matter of coming out, giving it a try, and looking for those opportunities. It's something fun that you're not going to otherwise be able to do. There's just not a lot of, I don't know. You can't just show up at Luton and have a great time by yourself with your kid the way that you can with 50 other kids. It's really fun for them.
I know.
And as a parent.
I know we were drawn to a close, but actually you just popped another thought in my head. What is the percentage of do all of the parents ride as well? Or what's the percentage of kids? I mean, because that might be the intimidating barrier.
Yeah.
Like, hey, the reason the kid doesn't go to Luton and have a blast because mom or dad, doesn't do that.
No, we have lots of parents that don't ride. I mean, what's our ratio last year was?
I think we keep it to 6-1
Yeah.
is like what we aim for
Okay.
in terms of coaches or certified coaches, I guess, to kids.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's you don't have to ride as a parent either way, but you're always welcome to.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So it's it's always there. Even if you're not a certified coach, you can still ride with us.
Sure.
Right. Like we have 1 or 2 certified coaches with every single pack, but that's not saying that parents can't just, because a lot of parents maybe have trouble committing because, when we have
Yep.
certified coaches, we do.
Sure.
We need to at least have a crop that are committed.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't want that to be a barrier to parents riding with their kids.
Mhm.
Right. Or just riding with the group. So.
Sure. No, it's an awesome organization. You guys are, pillars in the youth community. Well, it's you probably already heard this from a lot of different people, but you guys are right up there. I don't want to have the other ones feel like I'm picking favorites here, but you guys are up there, and the other ones are just as good and whatnot. But there's just something about you guys that you're doing right, and a lot of that usually stems from passion. Passion from the parents, passion from president, now president, past president,
Head honcho.
and
I like that.
and so that kudos to you guys because that's how that works. The passion usually filters down, and like I say, so you guys are class act. So I really appreciate you stopping out. And if people have any questions, go ahead and ask below. Reach out to these guys direct. You guys are probably does Coyotes have social handles?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. You can search us and find us. We show up right away. So I think it's Coyotes, WM Coyotes on Instagram. That's probably your best bet. So, and we're on Facebook too. I think it might be the same thing. But if you search for West Michigan Coyotes, we pop up.
Yeah. Find the website. There's an email there. If anyone has questions, if you're not sure if it's right for you, just drop us a line and say, hey, here's my deal. Is this right for us? The answer is probably yes, but you're welcome to ask the question and we will answer and probably convince you to join the Coyotes. That's usually
That's the goal.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, guys.
Hey, great. Thank you, Mark.
Nice meeting you, Brian. Nice meeting you, Andy. And so thanks for hanging out this long and listening to the next generation, the youth, the people who are going to be running their kids, in the future. Our trails are only going to get better and better. I keep hearing about different stuff that's getting added. I was actually talking, so it's just, it's really cool what's happening in the community. Obviously we're a little biased because we're right in the middle of it, but it is growing and it's getting bigger and bigger. So
It's great. Exciting stuff.
Yes. Thank you for tuning in.